She's ready.
Oh, there we go. Okay, Robert's not here yet. Michael, you didn't make it, so you get Pokey in here. Anna Aguirre, is that right?
Ana Aguirre, yes.
I'm glad to have you here. And of course, Councilmember Delia Garza, thank you very much for giving us your time, ma'am.
Sure.
And I will say that Delia Garza has been all over. She's always showing up at things. You're on the street. You've had a couple of those.
100 different ways of saying your name.
Okay. Anyway, she's had a couple of Dev Springs Rec Center where you were there a couple times. You've been on this show before, so you're obviously easy access to the public.
Absolutely.
We appreciate that.
Yes.
I'm sure your Robert Kibbie will be in here later with some questions too, but I know Anna's got something. Can you tell us about yourself, some?
A little bit about myself. Okay, my name is Ana Aguirre, and I moved to Austin in September or August of 1982. And so I've been here since then. When I moved here, moved into Southeast Austin, the Dev Springs area. And since then have bought a home and have, by choice, chosen to live in the area because I just love my neighborhood. So,
You also have meetings down there, and you and Robert are both on the flood mitigation task force,
yes,
stuff like that.
we were both appointed by our council member, Ms. Garza, to be representatives for our district on the flood mitigation task force. And so we finished that duty in May. So we started in October of last year, or September of last year, and finished the report in May.
And I know Robert, I could say Robert, he just loved being it. He is such a community activist.
Absolutely.
And also with his school, how he likes to do things with the schools and stuff like that. He's just really been wonderful about, all the things that he's been doing.
I didn't do that. Somebody else did that. Come on, Mom.
5 FU.
Can't take him anywhere.
No, I found out that the new drug I'm taking for my cancer treatment. Well, I had my scans done, as everybody knows.
She's got to tell everybody about this.
I had a bone scan, which came back completely clean.
Yay.
And then I had a CT scan, which came completely clean, except for that little booger in my liver. My little booger in my liver, I'm going to call the board now because it's 2.3 by 2.3. So all I can think of it is a little square. So it's the Borg. Resistance is futile. You better watch out because I'm going to get rid of it. So I'm going to be taking Cytoxin, methotrexate, and it's another drug. I can't say its name, but it's commonly known as 5FU.
Oh.
Yes, we were laughing about it a little while ago. But it's Flora something still. But anyways, I get a good laugh. So now I can have some 5FU. Yeah. So anytime he burps, you can get him with it.
I already posted on Facebook about how I got her and her sister-in-law staying there, and part of the side effects is irritability.
Oh no.
So they went out without me, and there were smiles. I said, "Hold on here. How come y'all are irritable with me all the time, but when I'm not around, y'all are all happy?"
So as my saying goes, it is what it is.
Okay, well, right now it is Delia Garza. We have lots of stuff going on at the city.
And let's start off with this one good question. Since you've been elected, what have you accomplished with the city?
All right.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
Good campaign question, too.
Well,
Go for it.
okay. Well, one of the main reasons I wanted to run for council was to bring a voice to Southeast Austin, and I definitely think that has been a priority, and that's what I have done.
Okay.
I have been, I think, an effective advocate for a lot of the issues that District 2 faces. But at the first council meeting, we created the Regional Affordability Committee, which has been looking at ways that we can help keep Austin or help Austin be more affordable for our working families.
Well, I won't talk about our rent increase, but yeah, it's not quite too affordable. So
And absolutely.
it's very difficult when you see these places going up. And I noticed the other day I just told him, I was headed down Stastny from Pleasant Valley to the freeway, and I saw a gentrification house gone up.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big brick 2-story home, which I'm sure was going to be quite a bit there, and but it was as soon as I saw it, it's just like what I saw happening over here to the east side. But continue on your way.
I have meetings with developers, one of the questions, the main and first question I'm always asking is, how much affordable housing can you offer? I feel like there's always been a lower baseline, 1%, 2% of the residences would be affordable, and I've been pushing to get
What does the city council consider affordable? Do they consider like a $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 home, or these big $300,000 homes?
Well, that's a good question. There a lot of conversations about affordability talk about little a and big A, so it just depends. It depends on what level of income we're talking about, and so.
Well, it's a lot of working class down there. There's
Yeah.
there's not too much middle to upper class down there in that area, you know, because we're just a hardworking people down there, and there are a lot of people who are on set incomes,
Yeah.
and it's kind of rough on them as well.
And I think there's a lot of misconceptions on what really the city can do when it comes to home prices, and a lot of it is guided by the market.
Yeah.
So there's very little that we cannot put.
And these
rent control-
developers
yeah,
want
we
the
can't,
money.
Rent control is illegal in the state of Texas. Other states can do it. California can do rent control. New York can do rent control because
No,
they
I
sounds-
have.
don't want either one of them.
It's not an option.
We have very little control over what
Yeah.
what a person
Can
charges
and-
for their sales price.
Well, I have
So-
to thank my landlord if they're watching tonight, because they do keep things relatively low for us over at where we live at. You know, we did get a rent increase, and she politely put in there, you know, the comparable prices for what we're living in compared to some of the other ones in the same, you know, you know how you get that with the real estate deals, you know, the
Yeah.
comparisons.
Yeah.
And you know, she's like, I hate to do this, but you know, with the taxes going up and everything like that, she said, you know, she just had to, but she still kept it low. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and I'm always grateful to hear stories like that where a landlord could maybe decide to put it at a market rate. They've kept it low so they can keep.
Yeah,
our
well, I think
working
they.
families.
I'm not sure how long they've owned these duplexes, but they're pretty. I'm pretty sure they're pretty much close off to paying off the mortgage on them. But you know, I can't complain about them. You know, they're good people. We
Can
have.
we let her finish the original question?
Yeah. Well, thank you, landlords. Back to her again. Well, that tied in with affordability.
Yeah. Tied in with-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in addition to pushing for asking developers to include more affordable units in their developments, I've also pushed for increase in funding for our health and human services, because health and human services are programs that help our working and middle class families. And I really think if we invested in those kinds of services, we would have less 911 calls, and we would have less calls for our police and fire, which take up a good majority of our general fund. 70% of our general fund taxpayer dollars is to our public safety, which it should be that way.
Yeah.
You know, they are our front line, they are our first line of
And
defense.
in this day and age, they're facing a little bit more dangers and threats than
Absolutely.
normal, and you know, and Helping Heroes Day is coming up, and I just can't wait for that day. So I always help out with that. Now you were talking
That's
about the
HEBs, yeah, big heroes.
healthcare bit. I have people, you know, where I work at, you know, I'm talking to people all day long that have difficulty in like getting the MAP card and things like that because of some I'm not sure just exactly if they're just not doing the right way to get into it, or are impatient and like want it now, and you know, and don't want to go through the you know the way that it goes. But is it true that it's that difficult to get like a MAP card or something like that?
I guess I couldn't speak directly to.
Okay.
I haven't heard that, but I'm happy for my office to look into that.
Yeah, but because some of my customers say it's a little difficult for them
Okay.
to get like a MAP card. Because, you know, it used to be, you know, they could go walk into his Health and Human Services and get the Medicaid card. But since they separated that out, I praise the Lord and thank every day that, you know, I got on the women's breast cancer program with the Medicaid.
It helps
you
us
know,
out a
this,
lot.
I would have been dead a long time ago. But you know, they do have programs for it and everything. But you know, but you might look into that map
Okay.
to see if there is such a difficulty. They might be blowing it out their shorts because they just don't want to take the time to go down there and you know go because it is tough.
Shall we finish with the original question yet?
We were talking about healthcare, so shut up. Okay.
Well, in addition to healthcare, I also pushed for. There was a very proven therapy that helped children with autism, and the city wouldn't cover that in their health insurance plan.
Well, that's good.
And so we pushed them, and we were able to get to the city's plan. If you're a city employee, now
Yeah.
covers this autism therapy that has been proven to help children.
Well, it should be approved for everybody, because that's tough. That's a tough one to deal with, the autism. And what's the other one that they have, that newfangled, that one that's a funny name, the Asperger's.
Yeah.
Yeah, why'd they have to name it that? But anyways, there's a lot of children's conditions that aren't covered
Yeah.
under insurance. And then if you go Obamacare, sometimes, it's just expensive.
Yeah.
You're still out of pocket a lot. Yeah.
So that's one thing we've, as housing costs have gone up, wages have stayed stagnant. And so, again in Texas, unfortunately, because of our legislature, we can't change the minimum wage citywide,
Blame my people again.
but we can change it for the city. So we've I've been supportive of making sure the city pays a living wage.
Well, the
because-
company that I work for is basically doing the same. They are making it affordable for us to do things. So
Yeah.
I can't exactly say the name, but it's a very
Local
popular
grocery store.
place. Very popular place.
Yeah, so I think it's important for the city to be an example for other private corporations that we put a priority on paying people a fair wage so they can continue to live in the city that they work in, that they, that they improve, that they are part of. And so that's another thing and I will continue to push, that the city pays all their employees a living wage.
Okay.
Other things we've done is we've increased our portfolio for solar energy, which is good because it helps us close those dirty gas plants that are always put in,
I'm shutting up.
gas plants that are usually put
Just
in
give 'em a high five.
lower income areas,
Yeah.
and hurt and pollute, the environment. And so that's another thing that we,
Well, there is that little subdivision over there by that WIC clinic on Stastny. I travel Stastny a lot, if you can't tell.
the one that they call the far South Austin. which is funny
Whatever it
because
is,
it's not
but
far.
they all have solar panels on the
Yeah,
roofs.
uh-huh.
Yeah, so they're 2-story homes and they all have solar panels on there,
Yeah.
which is pretty good because once you get an excess, goes into the city grid and you get money back.
Yeah.
So
I'm a big advocate of increasing our dependence on renewable energy.
No matter what the cost, or
Well, no, the cost needs to be affordable. The cost needs to be affordable, and it has been getting more and more affordable, even without the federal tax credits.
well, I have to say that our electric bill has gotten a little more affordable this summer. So I don't know if it has anything to do with any of that or whatever, but it has gone way down. So.
Good.
I think that's because we turn the AC off every now and then.
Well, besides that, it's
light when you walk out the room.
besides that, it's more affordable, and I do see customers that are talking about how their electric bill used to be like $500 before, and now it's like $425. So $75 off is $75 off.
It
Puts
is.
food in their stomach or
It's a trip to the grocery
whatever.
store. Yeah.
But yeah, and the other question you're talking about the wages and stuff like that tie in with that is are y'all courting companies to come to Austin and
Courting
Well,
companies
there-
to come to Austin, incentives, tax
We
incentives.
actually have not offered incentives in a while. There was a time when there was a big push to offer incentives, but then the last council actually tied a lot of requirements to those incentives. So if the city provided you an incentive, you had to pay a living wage, you had to offer domestic partner benefits, you had to do all these things, you had to offer good workforce development things inside these packages, because the thinking basically was, if you're going to use tax dollar money,
You have to fit
you
the-
need to give some benefits to the community. What has happened is, I think it's working, because what has happened is a lot of the new companies have said, you know what, we're not going to do all that, but we're going to come anyway, and they come anyway without incentives.
Well, that's
So,
good. That's real good because there's a couple areas around town here on the way over here that we saw that are like got retail space signs coming up, and there's one place that was built over there off of Terry Road there next to that little store. It looks like it was going to be a Carniceria or something. Oh, my favorite store is to go shopping for meat. Oh man, y'all got me hooked on that one. But anyways, it's been built and it's just like sitting there.
Yeah, I saw that's boarded up.
It's all
Yeah.
It's just, I think
I was wondering what-
yeah,
yeah.
it's like you build it
Mm-hmm.
and then nobody's in it.
Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
them a chance.
I've been meaning to ask my staff what exactly is going up there, because it's just all.
Anna, you might have to just jump in here whenever you want to for us.
No,
Well,
I'm getting mine in while I
Right,
can
right.
before he gets there. And then I have to say, whose idea was that god awful traffic circle on Todd and St. Elmo?
Okay. I guess that would be transportation's. I think it's pretty.
It's pretty,
That's-
but
it's a calming circle.
It's a
It's
calming,
not calming.
it's
traffic
an
calming
industrial area.
device. Well, there's some residential.
Yeah, you can go down the road there by goats. Yeah, right there by the curve on Knuckles. And you can go down there by some goats. I like looking at his goats.
You know what I call it?
What?
Gentrification.
The circle? The traffic.
Bicycle lanes, the circle, the pretty little stuff all along the way. And
It's
that.
multimodal transportation. You're supposed to.
I want trucks and
encourage
buses.
people-
That's all we need.
Encourage people to get out of their cars and exercise.
That seems
Trucks
like
and
it'd be
buses.
difficult for a bus to make it around that traffic circle, tell you the truth. I have
They
a hard
to slow
time.
down. They
Yeah.
have to slow
And that's with
down.
my glasses on.
Yeah, but never mind. I ain't saying it.
The goal is to try to slow down traffic and I guess there have been.
Well, you don't
studies-
have humps there. That's good. I'm an
Yeah.
anti-hump. I'm an anti-hump person because in a
Yes. Anti-hope. Okay.
because in an emergency or something, these first responders need to get there pretty darn quick.
Yeah.
And poor little old engine 24 over there
Speed
at the
bumps
fire
are in the way.
station there by Mendez. That poor little thing those things have taken a toll on it. Because they have to get there quickly,
Yeah.
and have to like every 20 feet hit your brakes to go over a bump. It kind of gets a little difficult for them.
Yeah.
So I'm for the first responders on that one. I've talked with some of them on that, and they're anti-hump people too.
When we get to the transportation bond part we'll talk about that, I guess. How many speed bumps are in the how much is it? 750 million?
720.
720 million?
Yeah.
How many speed bumps are we going to get for that?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Bicycle lanes, keep them out of Dove Springs.
I finally found other people that hate East Wind Canyon with me.
Well, if they
Okay. Why do they hate it?
Because you put the bicycle lanes in there and you got to get little skinny lanes.
Okay.
It used to be a nice
Who's
six-lane boulevard.
responsible for making the legislation? I guess I just answered my question. To make bicyclers have insurance and a license tag and be inspected to use the roads like we do. They're out there using the road
Pay for
and
it
we're
like we do?
paying
Oh, I
for
see
it
what
all.
you're saying.
They need to have insurance like we do. I've been hit by one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's like, oh, it's not my fault, it's not my fault.
At least you went in the
hit
car
me.
after that many. You got on the bicycle stand.
But I'll mention one with that, and this brings Anna into the conversation, is we really pushed for there to be attention to the flood issues that our city
Yes, most definitely.
our city faces. And so a lot of times there's issues around the city, but the funding's not there to
Yeah.
help mitigate whatever those issues are. And so we saw a worst case scenario when there is no other way to mitigate the issues
Yeah.
in the Dove Springs area, and we have to end up buying families
They're
out.
buying
And
them out.
that is the most expensive way to mitigate.
Well, what was really bad was Katie. Robert knows
They're
Katie.
not in our district, Mo.
Katie it doesn't matter. It has to do with the flooding, okay? Their home got flooded out. They got a brand new home, and they were going to put it on a berm, build up a berm to set it on. Well, they didn't have time to, and right after they set it on the ground, 2 days later, what happened?
Yeah. So we created the flood mitigation task force, and they brought forward some, I think, really great recommendations going forward. And so Anna could speak to some
Yeah,
of
that down there, that little area down there has always been a big problem. But I'm just glad that really bad one that was in the Halloween one or whichever one it was, that our first responders got there quickly and they worked efficiently. I'm happy for all the people who helped the pets out, because I'm a big pet advocate. And I'm glad to see that if they saw a pet swimming in the water, they went over there and got it. They could have just let it go, but I'm just glad that they did what they did, there was lives, I'm not sure just how many lives were lost, but I think it was a minimal as to what it could have been, you know, because when I went to work that morning, I'm like,
Chris,
Jesus,
let's hear what. You got to jump in, Anna.
Yeah, you got to, because I'm a blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go look for Robert, see if he made it yet.
Thank you, Bobby.
So-
Huh? And here, James, read this. Read this.
I know, you will later on.
You better believe it.
So on the first flood, I know we didn't have enough of a response for the residents to evacuate, and it was just really coming in very quickly. The second time around, I think people have become as soon as they hear rain, they pretty well decide on their own. Some of them do is just, let's go ahead and get out. And what was really frightening this last time around is we know that our schools can get impacted, but one was seriously impacted this last time, where to the point of where maintaining the safety of the kids was very critical. And so that became a challenge because we were not only under flood warning, but also tornado. And so having the staff worry about where to move the children in the school, and it's an elementary school, and I cannot imagine if I had my child in a school at that time.
Chris?
This was at Palm. This was
Oh.
at Palm Elementary,
Okay.
and we would not have had expected Palm to be one of to be one of the schools. And so one of the recommendations that we have in our report is for each campus, depending on its location, if it's within a floodplain or if access to the campus, if the roadway is in a floodplain, then that campus individually needs to have its own emergency plan in response to flood situations. And so we think that it's very important to let the parents know what actions they can take, not to go to the school because that'll, compromise the rescue that, first responders may need to get engaged
Yes,
in.
ma'am.
And so letting them, letting the schools know, have a plan of action, tell the parents where the plan is to transport the kids to. So, there's things that we thought about that really we want to make sure, these are vulnerable populations, so we want to make sure that they don't get compromised. We know flooding's going to happen again, and those things that we can have some control over, we should be actively working on.
Well, I thought this was like 100-year floodplain down there.
It is,
Chop it up here.
it can be very scary.
And so a lot of people think when they hear the 100-year floodplain that it's only supposed to happen once every 100 years.
The Halloween flood, that's enough now.
Yeah.
But it's actually, what it actually means is that there's a 1% chance that it will happen that year. And
Yeah.
so it doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to
Right.
happen. It could, as we've seen, happen almost 2 consecutive years,
Yes.
back to back.
We
Unfortunately.
were, I was out down there a lot when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
It was devastating to think that at least a square mile of our city was destroyed like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
It was good to see all the turnout, people
Yeah.
trying to help and all.
hmm
right,
Yeah.
right.
Anyway, go on,
So-
continue.
So, so
Is
that
that
was.
enough or?
Oh, no.
There's more.
So there's others there's ways that we can also let visitors know, in Austin there, if they come in from out of town, they're not familiar with what areas that we may be, we're right in the middle of, floodplain alley in the country. And so ways that we can educate and, those that come into our festivals and they're staying somewhere, just to let them know you're in an area that is prone to flooding, giving them some ways to let them know, just like we have, cautionary signs on the coastal, parts of the
Yeah,
state. They should-
Evacuation routes.
Absolutely. So just letting them know you're in a floodplain zone area, so you're entering, you're exiting, just giving them that kind of, notice.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So,
Yeah, probably wouldn't
yeah,
hurt.
letting them
Wouldn't
know.
cost too much.
Yes, because you had unfortunately, during the Memorial Day flooding, you had people in Wimberley that totally not expected. And
Not
so-
expected, didn't know what to do.
Exactly, and so.
Where'd he
and-
go?
Yeah, and not even aware that maybe they didn't have, phone reception or how to, stay aware
Yes,
of
ma'am.
what the situation was. So ways to get the public aware, in the meantime. So, and in doing this, you can also mitigate first responders being put in a compromising situation. We don't want to make a situation worse. So that was some of the things that we talked about. And also, how can we fund some of these issues of what can we do that doesn't require funding. I think one of the things that we talked about is we made the curbs blue in the areas that are flood prone. And so, of course, we don't know how people would receive that, but, at least it would pose a question. People, if they were visiting that part of the city, they would wonder, why is the curb blue here?
Yeah, you wonder what.
Then they would know, cheap,
You have
just
to
get
ask
some
somebody
paint.
to find out that,
Yes.
oh, they're in a flip flop.
Exactly. So we were trying to think of ways that we could, get the information out there without it being something cost prohibitive, and so.
Put it in the transportation budget. I'm sorry, I had to go into that.
So.
That's gonna be a big issue, I imagine, coming up.
The
Yes.
the bond.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I'm just stuck on the, I like buses and trucks. That's what we gotta make our highways for. That's who pays for them ultimately.
Yeah.
The majority of the money goes, far streets and stuff comes from trucks and buses.
Mm.
East William Canyon is just, when you get to be older and you can't see so well, and if it's night and raining, and these little skinny lanes, and it used to be a nice 6-lane boulevard,
Yeah.
and now it's little skinny lanes with no bicycles on it anywhere, but they got a bicycle lane. And I'm thinking, oh, great, whose smart idea was this? I know that'll be part of the bond package.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to throw in there on this bond package thing?
Sure.
Info we
Yeah,
might-
I'll voice the concerns that I have voiced several times at several different neighborhood meetings. The way that bond packages are normally put together is there's a large discussion, community discussion about what to put in, and that could be more money for parks, more money for fire stations, and it's a really long process. And that conversation never happened. It was always very narrowed in on transportation, and so that was my initial concern, is that we were investing a lot of our bond capacity on one issue. I also had concerns and still have concerns, that I feel the way it has been presented is this is going to solve all our traffic problems, and it's not going to solve all our traffic problems. There is a lot of good stuff in there. We have desperately needed funding for sidewalks for a very long time and haven't been able to get anywhere near the number of sidewalks that should be around the city to help with mobility. So there's good stuff in there. I'm just concerned about bond fatigue also. The public we're in an affordability crisis, and $5 a month for families in my district is a lot of money. And so
On top of what they're already paying.
exactly. So I'm concerned about them seeing such a huge price tag, and there's good stuff in there, and I don't know what the chances are of a huge bond package passing. And then the other concern is, which I talked about this last Thursday, was it's a mobility bond that has no actual direct public transit. It's not, rail's not on it, adding more buses isn't on it. It's just supposed to, one of the main parts is improving our corridors, so public transit is made, is a little bit easier for buses to be on that corridor. But I'm just concerned that there's so many other needs. The flooding issue is a need. We are 5 fire stations behind. We should have built 5 fire stations already. We have so many, affordable housing is a big issue, that we could always use more bond money for affordable housing. And so we have all these other needs, and this is very concentrating on mobility, which I'm not saying is a problem. I'm just saying that I have concerns about how it all came about. That's why I voted against putting it on the November ballot. That was the vote back in June.
Yes, ma'am.
This vote on Thursday, and I know it's very confusing because it's even confusing for those of us inside the process, but this vote on Thursday was simply what the bond language would be. So we already voted in June to put it on the ballot, and I voted against that because of all the concerns I've expressed. This last Thursday was what the language would be, and then this coming Thursday is finalizing what that language will be. So, and at the end of the day, it is the voters' decision. So I really hope that everybody goes out and educates themselves on exactly what the bond does, and make your decision based on that.
I would like that very much. Sidewalks, I'm not so sure how that's going to help so much mobility. I do like, and are we going to get rail whether we like it or not, or?
There, I mean,
Are you a rail?
I am a
leader?
public, I'm on the Cap Metro board, so I'm a big, and in fact, when
You heard the scathing article, what was it in, Wall Street Journal or Business Daily about how much the rail's costing per passenger?
yeah, but that was a very one-sided article, and they did not interview
If
a
I
Cap.
could real quick point out that she is kind of correct, because the way to look at that is cost per seat per mile, and not, they're looking at how many passengers, but how many times were they running empty?
Yeah, and they also didn't. If you're doing an article, my understanding is they didn't even reach out to Cap Metro, so they didn't even give the agency an opportunity to defend itself or to explain anything.
Still, it's pretty,
I think it's always important to invest in public transit because not everybody can afford a car, and if we make it more efficient, it makes Austin more affordable. Because if families can basically, most people have 2 cars in their family. If I can give up a car, that would save my family a lot of money. And so if I could give up 2 cars, that would save my family a lot of money. So I am a big supporter on the right plan. I didn't support Prop 1, I don't remember which prop it was, but it was the rail of 2014. I can't remember now. I didn't think that was the right plan, but I think there could be a right plan, and I look forward to seeing what that is. Because if we can get, if you've visited New York City or Boston or Washington D.C., you can go there and not rent a car and not get in a car, and I think that's great. I think it's great for our road infrastructure issues that we face, and it's also great for health reasons. If the more you walk, the better. The better. You're more healthy if you're able.
You mentioned these other cities. I've always been a big bus fan.
Yeah.
More buses, more routes. I can't walk too far, that's why. And cut the price in half. You'll fill them buses up. Is that you, Robert? No, they. Hey, Robert, you gonna make it at all?
He said he was stuck
cut
in-
the
Go off topic, continue what you're
cut
talking
the cut the walking distance.
Yeah.
I don't mind so much the time on the bus. And of course, I had a disability card, and it was nice to. They got a
forget names.
great website where you can put your starting location, ending location. But if you have to walk, your furthest distance they'll mark down there.
Yeah.
Usually, I can't make the shortest one.
And that's what I mean by maybe it doesn't mean rail. Maybe it means more buses.
More buses,
And,
more routes.
and exactly. So I
They don't
think
even go on Terry Road now.
there are different options that
The
could
one
be.
does go on Terry Road, not the. All right, go ahead.
Maybe some
Yeah.
little buses for the lower.
School bus size things. I don't know.
And
Buses
and
a
those have
day.
been discussed, like different kinds of services for different types of areas. So maybe one thing I often hear from one of our council members is that he always sees empty buses, but he's also at the end of the route. So of course,
Yeah.
the
Not my
further.
friend Zimmerman, is
Yes,
it?
it's your friend Zimmerman.
Oh, the one that puts up signs too early?
Oh,
I laughed
boy.
at that one.
So if obviously, if you're at the end of the route, there's not going to be as many people. I'm kind of in the middle of one of our most traveled routes, and when I get on it at South Congress and Stastny, it's about maybe a third full. And as I start to get downtown, I'm getting off a full bus once you get
Yes,
to
ma'am.
downtown. So
The number 7 can get that way too.
yeah.
But yet the Terry Road, it only goes, the number 7 cuts to a little piece of it. But the number 11 used to go down it and then come back up Knuckles Crossing and come up Mendez Middle School.
Yeah. And we've talked in the past with, talking with other residents
Yes,
is,
ma'am.
really improving on the bus route process, because if you have somebody that is a senior citizen and you've got a food program, a lunch program at the Deaf Springs Rec Center, the
Oh,
bus does not take that
Huh?
resident
I can't get there.
So that becomes a challenge. So those are things that as residents we talk about, what are the needs that we have and how can we, communicate those needs to Capital Metro and see how we can address that.
And
So
there's
those
a-
are some of the things that we've talked about.
Right now, they're in the middle of what their Connections 2025 plan, and so it's taken community input, and it's examining issues like that, like why isn't there a bus stop right in front of a public library or next to a rec center? And so we will be hearing some recommendations soon on how to realign routes to better serve, to make them more efficient, to make people because right now people that use buses, they really have no other choice. We have to get it to a point where it's getting what they call the choice riders.
Cut the price in half.
And that's part of it too, is re-looking at our fares and seeing, is that what part of the issue is too. So I'm a big advocate of making it more affordable and easier.
Cheaper than getting on the car. It's
Absolutely.
cheaper than you take your time, the 45 minutes, whatever it might take to get downtown on the bus. If it only costs you $1,
Yeah.
and you come home on the same $1.
Yeah. And when I take the bus, I'm able to get work done. I'm on,
Get
I'm
work
on
done,
my
talk to people, and
iPad and returning emails, and so yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
I really, I haven't been on it in a while because they changed the route to the 311 route. And I just don't walk that far anymore. Now my card expired. And
Oh, no.
they doubled the price now. I think it's like $2 for a regular, and it was $1 for me. And for a while there, it used to be free if you had a handicap card. And I really like that. But if it's not close enough, like you're pointing out, I can't go to the elderly dinner thing there at
Yes.
Rec Center. So I can't walk that far.
Yeah.
They need to actually have one go right up to the Rec Center. I like that
Yes.
idea.
Yeah,
That
and
would
that's
be
been
helpful.
discussed when we were in the running for the Smart City grant. There was suggestions of what they called circulators. So that the industry term is first and last mile. It's hard to get that first and last mile because obviously it's inefficient for a bus
Yeah.
to drop you off exactly at your destination. They
I
just have to
understand
drop
that
you off
part.
at a point. And so there's discussion on how we solve that first and last mile dilemma. And one of them, and I know you don't like bike lanes, but one of them is using bikes because you will see
I
that.
can't walk the first and last mile. I'll be on pedal on the bike.
But some people can. So that people use their bike to get to that first and last mile.
I'd probably go for an electric bike.
Yeah.
That would
I'd
help.
get run over for sure.
Those things are really neat. We
Electric
toured.
bikes?
Yes,
I bet.
we were given a tour by I think Bike Texas or something, and we went around, and it was really neat because it's kind of like a motorcycle, but you have to use some, you pedal,
Pedal.
but then that was really neat. But they're actually very expensive, so
Yeah, I think that. I'd
Good one.
skip that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I'm back to cut fare in half and get on the bus
yeah.
Yeah.
and do something about my first and last mile. Since my first and last mile is less than a quarter mile.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I got a walker, but it's hard to get that kind of stuff in and
It would
off
be
the
hard.
bus.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be challenging.
And with regards to sidewalks, it's as I guess as an able-bodied person, you don't realize the effects of not having a good sidewalk are. And then when I had my child and I have to have a stroller, I really realized the issue that many and I already knew that it was an
Smooth
issue.
sidewalks
We
pretty
had
handy.
we had Adapt come. They're such great advocates, and they always come and explain the issue. And I really saw it firsthand as having a child in a stroller, and you can't even, it's almost easier to be in the street than on a bumpy sidewalk, or if there even is a sidewalk. And so sidewalks is a big issue, and that's, during the quarter cent fund discussion, it was really great. And I think that's another great product of the 10-1 system was we were able to split funding 10 ways to the districts, and I've already it's great seeing these sidewalks come up and the neighborhood's so excited about it, and seeing families use the sidewalks, and so it's a big deal.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and I mean, when I first moved into to Austin, I know that it was challenging having the students walk from home to schools, just because there were no sidewalks. So just seeing that gradual improvement, that's been very helpful. So we're excited about having even more opportunities to fix that,
Yes,
so.
they were a bigger issue, sidewalks. When we first moved there on Knuckles Crossing, they didn't have one.
Right.
It was just a little
Right.
gravel pathway you could park your car out front of our house.
Yes.
And sidewalks, it's been, you're right, people can go down with their strollers. So I guess that helps some, and it is easier for me to walk on the sidewalk than to stumble about into,
and safer.
And yes,
yeah, in case I
Yeah.
go
yes.
splat, as my wife calls it.
Yeah.
You don't fall out. Anyway, okay, maybe you can't always get the bus stop right where you want it, but at least somewhat closer. It seems like, especially in Dove Springs area,
Yes.
there's a lot of the neighborhood that the bus just doesn't go through.
Yeah.
The number 7, it doesn't go south of Stastny until you get to Pleasant Valley. So if you're south of Stastney and west of Pleasant Valley, and you better hope you're pretty close to Stastney to make that walk. It's the first mile, last mile thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Guess that's what I'd like to see improved with the more routes.
Yeah, and that's it's kind of just like our budget. Like we have limited
Yes.
funds, and so you have
Yeah.
limited budget, limited buses, and so that's what the connections.
Buses ain't cheap either.
Yeah,
I think
connections.
they're cheaper than trains.
Well, they probably are, but the Connections 2025 is meant to address some of the route deficiencies that many people have concerns about, and see what we can do, and maybe it's providing a different kind of service like those circulators, and there was discussions about like like a park and ride that has TNCs or, those kinds of things waiting to help people address the first and last mile. And park and rides is an issue that has come up,
I
not an
like
issue,
that.
is a one thing that Cap Metro's been working on. We've added one, it's under construction in the Westgate area. Underneath the TxDOT gave us the right-of-way under Ben White,
That's
and so
good.
there's going to be a parking right there. I believe in about a year and a half they'll be able to get that going. So I think that'll help address some of our issues. I think people, Texans, we love our cars,
Yeah.
but I think I think parking rides are kind of that midway. Like you don't have to give up your car if you don't necessarily want to, but you get to a point, you leave your car, and then you can go, not have to
Go
face
into
the traffic.
downtown.
Especially if you can make it affordable.
And another thing is bus lanes, and that always causes controversy, is don't take one of my lanes away for a bus.
I
But
like that idea I saw read in it about the bus pullout.
yeah, and not so much a pullout, the entire lane, because if I'm sitting in my car in traffic and I'm watching all these buses pass by me, I'm probably going to be more inclined to want to be on that bus than sitting in traffic.
So make a whole bus lane then, like they did down.
Like they do downtown. So
Downtown,
most of
yes.
downtown is not most, but there are parts of downtown that are dedicated bus lanes. You can only get in it if you're making a right turn. And so there's been discussions of having those on the major, like the 801 and the 803 are the big,
They wanna go
the
down
busy
there.
the busy bus, yeah. That becomes controversial for reasons like the bike lanes do, because people say you're taking away my lane. But I think, if there's ways to encourage people to get on a bus and to get out of their car, we need to explore those
I
options.
think the best encouragement is the reduction in fares.
And that's that.
I wouldn't like that. I'm not a fan of building a bus lane nor a bicycle lane. To pull out, okay.
Yeah.
The bikes, we never wore helmets as kids. We used to ride all over town. Ride Renegade. They used to do that when I was first started driving trucks. There wasn't no bike lane. We didn't run over nobody.
Yeah.
They just ran anywhere, and there was no problem.
Unfortunately, it happens now.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you
Yeah.
have bike lanes and all these, I have seen bicycles seem to think that they own a piece of the road.
Not all bicyclists are.
Okay, oh, you're right.
There's
Every
some.
once
There's
in a
some.
while, yeah.
There's always as with any group. There's always some, bad actors, and unfortunately, it gives all the people that follow the rules a bad name.
All I know is trucks pay a lot of money
They do.
to get on that road.
But at the same time, it costs a lot of money to repair roads. It is in my opinion, it's unsustainable in a lot of ways. Is we're having to constantly look for new funding sources to keep up the roads that we have, and that's not sustainable. And
Lighter
so,
weight buses, I don't know.
yeah, I just we need to try to get folks out of their cars, and so it's a challenge, but
Make it cheaper.
and
Cut the price in half.
I will bring that back. I often hear that, and I will make
I
that.
mean, you're already gonna put how much into Cap Metro? Cut the price in half. If not, expand the routes or add routes.
Yeah. And I
Cut the
think
price in half. You're gonna get people on there.
I was gonna say it's a cost. It could be a cost neutral move if essentially we're getting more riders.
Get more riders and less money. You make
You're
more
making
money.
the same, yeah,
If
or
you-
making the same, at least the same.
At least
the
the
goal
same.
to be at least the same, if not more, and get more people on riding the bus. Yeah.
I like that idea. I'd get back on it.
Okay.
It's-
Oh,
I'm gonna
no.
get you. I'm gonna try to get you a bus route that you can use.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
It used to be good because I could get on the 311 down at Nichols Crossing in Terry, and then I could get off at Nichols Crossing and Stastney, and just it used to go up by that auto parts store, and so I could walk downhill to get on the bus, and downhill when I got off the bus.
Oh,
Okay.
perfect.
That made it okay.
So then you couldn't tell the story that you had to walk uphill in the snow because
Yeah.
you were only going downhill.
Only going downhill. It's easier to go downhill when you
Sure is.
have to crank up.
Yes,
You
it
got to
is.
bring your own air with you. It's and then I'd go ahead and get my renewed handicap card
Yeah.
because it did used to be free
Yeah.
with a handicap card, and it was like 50 cents, and I think now it's $1. The regular fare is $2.
Yeah.
But even at $2, you can ride all day. I just
Yeah.
give me a return ticket, and I can ride anywhere I want, any bus, all day.
Yeah.
You know.
Which I guess some homeless do just to get in the air conditioning. Hey, $2, what the hell?
Yeah.
No,
And we are,
that's-
and Southeast Austin is growing. So
Definitely.
It
we
is
could-
growing whether we like it
could
or
be
not.
we could be getting more bus routes if that continues to happen.
Yeah,
So,
it's almost like we're gonna do gentrified whether we like it or not, because you're saying like the affordable housing, we are market driven. And that's what happened to Gavino. I told him, you done lost the burial, it's gone. It's not coming back.
Yeah, we're the district with the most families, and so again, it's gentrification is such a hard thing to fight because it is driven by market, and then there's so many. We're prohibited in Texas from Texas is a property rights state, so
Yeah, I like it that way,
I can
so-
do whatever I want with my piece of land, and if I can sell my piece of land for
If some guy offers me that much money for it,
you're going to take it, right? And so that's part of the problem is it's hard to regulate that that issue and continue to make it affordable for families, because if everyone's going to get the most that they can possibly get when they sell their home.
I think it would be possible to make it affordable for the families that are there to stay there, like Robert, so that his property taxes don't continue to decline so much. Gavino, he likes to show his a tax receipt from like 20 years ago compared to today. I told him, he's a millionaire now. 2 shacks, but they're both worth a couple
a lot of money.
$100,000
Yeah,
each.
yeah,
And so he's paying the tax bill for that too.
yeah,
It happens.
yeah. We've everyone wants to move to Austin, and that's what's
What are you going to do with us poor folks in Austin? Where are we going to go?
I don't want.
Bear Valley?
I've been trying to figure. I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
Because I think, it's
I
important
like
that we
Austin
have,
too, and I've been there. I built this place.
yeah, it's important that we have all income levels and diversity in all different ways, and that includes income levels as well. And I think that just makes our community richer when we have that. So it's a challenge, but it's a challenge that I'm up to try to figure it out.
We'll take a look at that
Okay.
at a future show when you'll be on with someone else. We'll see. I'll take
Yeah.
10 minutes, and we haven't hardly got 10 minutes left, and we haven't hardly got too much into the budget besides the transportation,
Uh-huh.
which is I really like that conversation just because I'd like to get transported around town.
And not have to wait in
And
traffic.
affordable housing.
Yeah.
What do you do? Make it so that their tax doesn't go up, and then when they croak off and they give it to their kids, do they have to pay the accumulated tax? or-
Yeah. Well, there's different ways. We've increased the senior exemption, but there's things that only help homeowners and don't
Yeah,
help
how
renters.
could we switch that down to renters? We used to be homeowners when I owned trucks, but
Yeah.
now we're renters. And
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
that's
my landlord could get a tax break if they give me a rent reduction.
yeah. With tax breaks come sometimes controversy with that kind of thing. I would be supportive of anything to those kind of incentives, but it's hard to.
Handicapped, elderly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm on the program. You're not supposed to cut my electric because I got a machine I got to plug myself into. And I forget what that's called, but I tell my all that says, no, that doesn't mean don't pay your bill. They won't turn you off.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
just means that if power goes out in a storm or something, then they know that there's somebody living there. Anyway, you know what it is. I was thinking, man, it'd be great and we're both on fixed income pretty much
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. There's
We can't blame our landlord for raising our rent,
yeah. No. They.
like a lot of people will.
And like I said, it's great that there are landlords who are at least, you know, giving you the full
Cautious.
picture and
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
and wanting to make sure they're not just kicking out families and tearing down and building something new, a bunch of new condos, because we need those middle, I think they call them class, I forgot what they are,
I
class
agree.
something properties that are the ones that that continue, with them being here, are the only way that we can have middle income families continue to stay here. Most of our, because the renters, I believe, outnumber our homeowners now in Austin. We have more renters. My district is just barely 51% owners and 49% renters.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I know Dove Springs about half and half.
Yeah.
We never did touch on to the short-term rental thing, but I'll have to wait for another show, I guess. Yeah, I guess there wouldn't be any way to cut elderly people who rent some kind of slack.
Yeah. Yeah,
Without going
that's
into rent controls or
exactly.
some of
There's
these places I don't want to go into.
yeah. So there's limited tools, and I really do believe this council has tried to and is still trying to address all these issues and with the limited tools that we have available to
I
us.
guess with a short time, how do you like the 10-1?
I think it's great. I think is long overdue. I think that you know what that sidewalk story, I think, is a great analogy of how great 10-1 has been. I don't think there's sidewalks now in my district that would not be in my district had it not been for 10-1. I think there are other things that have happened in my district. I was able to get more staffing for the Dove Springs Rec Center. I was able to fund a portable when Southeast Library was supposed to close, and we were able to fund a portable. I really think those things wouldn't have happened without 10-1.
And I concur. I
You-
really
you
do believe
concur
that.
with that?
Yes, absolutely. Because before just going to try to be heard by city council, it was hard.
They all
You
lived
didn't know.
in Terrytown.
Absolutely.
There was no relation. There was like, do you know where we are? Do you know what our situation is? And so having somebody that now we can, we see her, she visits us, and I think that's.
And I think it's, I mean,
Yeah.
I can be talking to somebody, ask them where they live, and I know that they live in my district or not. And when your wife was just talking about that vacant, I knew exactly what she was
Yes.
talking about because I drove by it the other day. And so I think that is such an important part of 10-1. Another thing is I can appoint citizens to boards, and the first priority has always been, do they live in District 2? And so Anna and Robert are District 2 residents, and I think it's elevated the voice of people in the city who really did not have a voice before.
I'm sorry, Robert didn't make it here. I
Yeah.
know how badly he
No.
wanted to be here.
Yeah. He's still,
So
poor
I
thing is
think-
he's still on
I
I-35.
think he can do a show by himself, so you probably need to tell him, because he
Probably
missed
can.
out, he'll be on a show by himself,
Yeah,
so.
well, the short time.
Yeah.
As I said, one of my problems is I only got so many Mondays before
Yes.
October 24th. One
Yeah.
of them is October 24th. That'll be, next week will be political type stuff, city stuff. And it's gonna be all candidates till the 24th, which is only like 6 shows. So I'm really,
I will do a plug. I know Robert's
Yeah,
very
plug it all.
passionate about schools and having, the programming, the resources, and what we can for our schools. So I know that, and I'll be actually volunteering, working with him. He is the incoming PTA president at Mendez Middle School, and so he's going to be, I know, advocating a lot for the kids in the schools.
we have talked about, I don't know if that's city council stuff, about the charter schools and the education situation. I know Paul Sedania and I have had our little arguments about get back to reading, math, and science. And, instead of inclusion and diversity. And if everything goes well, it's in pencil now, but we will be having place 2 AISD. Jamie Matthias and
I think you said his name was
Andy
Andy Anderson.
Andy Anderson, yes. It's in pencil right now, but I believe this will develop into ink.
Okay.
That'll be the middle, the later, I don't have my calendar, but anyway, it's spelling out, because that's a very important subject. I don't know how much city council has to do with all that.
Well,
Anything?
City Council does interact with AISD in that AISD, because they're so limited because of recapture, the issue that they face with the state, that we're considered property rich, but we're really not, and much of the money what we pay in taxes
Yes, ma'am.
is our school taxes. And so a lot of people are often, Austin City Council, you're pricing this out. Our part of your tax
She
bill.
got something to say. Go ahead.
Our part of your tax bill is a fraction of your city's part of the tax bill is a fraction of your entire tax bill. The problem, the issue with AISDs or ISDs is they have to cut so many very important, great programs, and the city has been coming in and been able to fund those, and
That's good.
but with the current, this budget is going to be a really tough budget, and we're really trying to find some funding for parent support specialists and some after school affordable programs, and for families who, if you have to be at work till 5 and your child gets off at 3:25, what do you do? The city does have to come in sometimes and fund those programs. So that's where we interact with the school district.
All right, Robert, let us know you're okay. We know you're out there somewhere.
Uh-oh. Is he not responding to?
I tried calling him a couple times, but hope nothing's
okay.
happened to him out there.
Last we heard is Old Tour for 35, right?
Yeah, that was his last whereabouts when I tried to tell you to tell him something else. Anyways, I'm hoping you're okay. Anyways, give somebody, you have all of our numbers here. Just let us know you're all right. I got to go run the end stuff. Y'all keep talking. He'll take you to the
Yeah,
end.
we got to 5830 there. With the schools, like charter schools, they don't have a board to elect on. And I've always been a fan of neighborhood schools, but on the other hand, and these programs you mentioned, I know they're all good and all, but went to 3 hours. That's all.
The 3 hours.
Remember the old days? 3 hours, reading, writing, that's all we need.
I think we can do a better job as far as getting our kids prepared for college if they want to go on to college and be more competitive. I know especially with Austin becoming such a high-tech city.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we can do a better job of
No
making
more
sure.
vocational stuff.
Oh,
and-
no, there's some, definitely. There's some that, some vocations, they pay way more than what I ever got paid,
Bus mechanics.
as a public servant. So, yes. So, I
I'd
mean.
like to see more bus mechanics.
in-
To go in them buses.
Yeah. And so what we can do is just help our students, succeed and be, what I can say about my kids, tax-paying contributors to society. So, I think that's important. So we can
Oh,
do
we got
that.
about a minute left. Want to say anything before we go, Delia?
No, just thank you for inviting me on your show.
Do you
It's
want
always
some political speeches real quick?
well, I have a complete honor to serve the citizens of District 2, and I love going to work every day fighting for them. And I think we've started some great things, and I hope to continue to be able to serve this district if given the opportunity.
Then for, and as I said, you have been more than easy to contact. You've been out in the street with all kind of things. You come to this show, other shows. You've been around. I
love
appreciate
it.
that.
Sure, yeah.
We will be back next week with Clint Smith and Great Panthers. And after that, we'll have it'll be nothing but politicians, or wannabe politicians, both coming on until...
Public servants.
All right, whatever. Public servants. Thank you, ma'am. Anyway, we'll be having some debates coming up. Everything's out there. Anyway, good night, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.